Alrighty, we are live for a little RTD midday live stream, give or take. And so wanted to come online and share my thoughts and check in with the community and find out what you guys are thinking, given that it looks like all the mainstream media has made sure they've done a good job of forcing some information out there with in regards to President Biden, Trump, President Biden. And I saw a comment earlier about changing the elected to selected. So I did that. So appreciate that heads up. But how's everybody doing this afternoon? It's been a while since I've done a Saturday stream, but I thought I would check in via YouTube real quick and just check in and see what's going on, man. So how's everybody doing this afternoon? I want to hear from you guys, man. What do you guys think about what's going on? And so, but had a chance to check out a variety of news sources, and the mainstream media is more than excited. I'm sure big tech is more than excited. And once you put all that stuff together, it just smells very, very, very bad. It looks very bad for our country. We got world leaders now. Within the last 30 minutes, everybody's reaching out and congratulating President Biden, if I want to call him that. So yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit because once again, it's not over with yet. And so the mainstream media has completely ignored and denied all the litigation side of things that Trump and his team is putting out there in regards to all the ballot situations, especially here in Michigan with a faulty software. So I wonder who's the orchestrator of that software. We all got our suspicions, of course. But anyway, let me know where you guys are watching from. Want to hear from you via chat. Won't be on long this afternoon, but I want to check in and hear from you guys. So we got Conscious Observer says, we'll see how this plays out. Low blood pressure. Damn hater on board. All right, a lot of people checking in. A lot of comments, a lot of thoughts. But let me get caught up to speed. We got Corey, we got Anamalia, Barley Broker, J. Anon. Okay, fair amount of people here. So let's talk about this. So I was actually combing through, got a couple articles here, of course, headline stories of things that has been rushed out there. But what I wanted to actually touch on is how the Saturday afternoon, and so I guess tonight, President Biden, or I'm not even sure what and that's the back and forth of like, according to the information given to us, he's been elected president. So hoorah, celebrate, congratulations. But the title of this particular live stream is that celebrations are going on now, but yet in the meantime, Trump is not going to concede, as his team has already mentioned, and they're going to contest everything, every state that Biden won, which looks like is possibly by 1% or so, which is anywhere between 15 to 30,000 of those mail-in ballots. All those things are going to be contested. Now we'll see how and where this takes us, but I'd imagine it's going to take us to the Supreme Court. And so we've been told about this well in advance, so no one should be surprised. But as all this unfolds, with all this celebration going on, you got a good portion of the world now on board, excited, looking forward to continuing to support and to congratulate Joe Biden. And then all of a sudden, come say December, January, Supreme Court or whatever comes out with some news talking about recount all the ballots, or I'm hearing the possibility that those ballots were had some type of security feature to them, where if they have to go back and check the validity of a lot of those ballots, will they be legal? We'll see. And so HP says Trump has lost. No doubt, according to what we're being told, he's lost. But then here's another thing that, for those that are, whether pro-Biden, pro-Trump, wherever you stand, my ultimate viewpoint on all this is the long-term viewpoint of where our country as a whole is going. And so as I talk about, the possibility of a civil unrest becoming some type of civil war, and it made me think about how, just to go back to the actual Civil War and back in the 1860s, how it was a North versus South. And so the South was predominantly or all, predicated on slavery, and the North was not. And so they use all the cover-ups and everything we've been told in history books to, to go to war for that. But that was ultimately a banker's war as well. And so here we are now, in a position that our country's never been in, to where we have complete political. Hey, man, I'm stuttering today. I don't know what's going on. Complete political chaos today. And it's being done on a political front between the Democrats and Republicans. So the blues versus reds, or GOP, RNC, whatever you want to call it. And so if there is an overturn if they have to contest. It's similar to a football game where, they advance a certain amount of yards, but yet it's a flag on the play, and they got to bring it all the way back. So imagine celebrating a touchdown and celebrating, you getting excited, your team is winning, and all of a sudden you look back, there's a flag back there. You have to take it all the way back, and how pissed will people be? And so it's going to be interesting, man. But anyway, so I got a couple things here. I was combing through let me share my screen here. I was combing through the social media sphere and came across some things, and it looks like Hillary Clinton made a tweet. I'm going to actually, let me say it here. So this is from AZ Central as of today, and I thought this was interesting. And so let me see. Actually, they got rid of they took down, let me see, here we go. And so a lot of celebrities and whatnot celebrate. So here's a tweet from Hillary Clinton. It says, the voters have spoken, and they have chosen Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be our next president and vice president. It's a history-making ticket, a reputation of Trump, a repudiation of Trump, and a new page for America. Thank you to everyone who helped make this happen. Onward together. And so, united. And what else we got here? It says, latest, no, that's something that's old. We'll get Biden projected victory over some 48 years to the day after his first Senate race. So 48 years after becoming a politician, this dude is selected president. So we got the streets of New York, everybody celebrating. So it's it's interesting, man. Very interesting times. So anyway, I don't want to rant any longer. I just wanted to talk to you guys and find out what you're thinking. Where is this heading? Or anybody actually thinking that this is going to stick? And if it does stick, how will those diehard Donald Trump fans take this? Will those that realize the possibility of all that voter fraud and things of that nature, will people just roll over and take it as what it is, or what? And so let me see. So let's talk. I'm open up the phone lines. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Won't be on much longer. Just wanted to get some thoughts, share my 2 cents. But my personal opinion, as I mentioned from the very title of this is a great setup. This is a great setup. And I was thinking about this current decade we're in. And so I've been talking before about how I think it's meant to be a long, drawn out 10-year transformation of our entire global system of all kinds. And it's been entitled The Great Reset. So we know that. But I was thinking about how shocking and how awkward and how uncomfortable the year 2020 has been for everybody. And then to have all this political chaos and whatnot. I'm thinking that, if 2020 to 2030 is the time frame I'm kind of putting out there as the time frame where we're going to see all types of changes being thrown at us. 2020 is the introduction. So if I was to look at this current decade we're in now as a 10-chapter book, 2020 is literally not even a chapter. It's just the introduction. And what I mean by that is that it's the build-up as to how they're going to implement chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and all the things that come with that. And I think a lot of the political stuff now, of course, it's more of a distraction because the ultimate direction of our country, and I watched Schumer, Minority Leader Schumer, give a little press conference a moment ago, talking about he admitted we got an economic crisis like never seen since the Great Depression. We got a health crisis never seen since the Spanish flu of the early 1900s. And then what else? All types of problems that they're admitting to, and then we need to come together and unite. I'm thinking like, when you have world leaders, let me show you this. When you have world leaders, it says after Joe Biden's win over Donald Trump, relief sweeps through American allies, through American allies. So we have the Canadian Trudeau right here congratulating Biden. So once you got foreign nations excited, celebrating Joe Biden, I'm thinking like, man, we probably gonna go back if this was to go forward. We're gonna go back into the TPP and they're gonna redo the NAFTA. So everything that was initially orchestrated under Joe Biden's vice presidency-ship with Obama, they're gonna roll it back out. So everything's gonna get 10 times bigger. They're gonna alter Obamacare and turn it into Biden care. He's going to do the Green New Deal, and what else? This whole health situation, because he's pro-science 100% without asking any questions. We're going to have to wear a mandatory mask officially next year, and then everything that's optional right now will ultimately become mandatory. even more so. And then they're going to rechange the Constitution to further us, to get us involved in whatever the general global reset will pan out to be. So yeah, so I'm thinking like if people really knew, the outcome of this, regardless, this is just the introduction of a very long, drawn out horror show that unfortunately will not get any better, regardless of who's in office. To be honest with you, so. But extreme lockdown. So Bruce, good point, man. So as of say, come February-ish, if Trump is not able to get any reversal of any of those states and get any of those electoral votes and basically contest his presidency, then come February, Dr. Fauci will become like, his lead health and economic advisor. And of course, trust the science. They're going to lock us down. It's going to be some extreme lockdowns. And so, okay, let me start ranting, man. So I want to hear from you guys. But everything leads to complete pandemonium, and it's going to resemble, the Democrats versus Republicans. And if Republicans feel like they got shafted and cheated 100%, you better believe they're going to be in the streets. And so let's talk. So the phone lines are open, and let's talk a little bit. Curious to hear what you guys think. And I'll read through some chats. If you have any thoughts you want to share via the chat, feel free to highlight at rethinking a dollar, and I will definitely get your thoughts shared with the community and share my thoughts on it. Christmas, yeah. But so, we got Christmas next month. So just off of the conditions of our economy, of course they throw out them bogus job numbers and all that stuff, but yet. Consumer spending is not where it should be heading into a holiday season. So I'm not really thinking or confident that it's going to be a merry Christmas. We're going to have Christmas, all right, but it may not be merry for a lot of people. So anyway, missing some calls. Let me get these calls real quick and go from there. Okay. Missing says the other 98% were sitting around seeing who was going to win. Yeah. And so let me pull up the map here. I'll pull up the map here because in all the key swing states, wasn't it quite interesting that Biden seemed to get 15 to 30,000 more votes and give him a win about 1%. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, this is Bob in Texas. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Bob. What are your thoughts on this whole political spiel we're in?
Well, I can honestly say I think there's been a buildup of division over the last few years, and that we kind of reached the crescendo.
Yeah.
But I also feel a little bit optimistic because, like I would always tell people, I really could care less about the personality of who's in the presidential office. But I do have to admit that with some of Trump's tactics, they were divisive in nature, and it was bringing out the worst in some of us that, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, there's some people who are about their rights being infringed in the Constitution.
Yeah.
And I get that. But then there also has been like overt racism and racial tension, which doesn't make things better.
Right.
So I just think at the end of the day, I just hope that we can avert a civil war or civil conflict. I think that cooler heads may prevail just because they decided to kind of like let things die down for a couple of days, but the electorate lets you know that we are divided. We definitely are divided. I don't think it would take a whole lot to get things to spiral out of control. So I've always said it. All of this is basically based on Trump and how he handles it. If he sends out any dog whistles that may trigger somebody who's a troubled person in their mom's basement that may want to like do something crazy. It can happen, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On the flip side, I do understand people's concerns about globalism and jobs and the currency. And honestly, all I can say as a Christian is there some things that are above our pay grade that we have to have faith in God.
Right.
But in terms of common decency and how we want to treat people in our own home, let alone our own community, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Things could have been a little bit more dignified. And some of the misinformation and fear mongering that's been put out here, hopefully some of that can dispel. But that's the thing that has me on edge. I would have been happier for Trump to win just because I feel like some people who actually have firepower and may have a tendency to be extreme, I was like, okay, you know what? give them their little bit of meat. Because at the end of the day, what I think more sophisticated Republicans will see, they have control of the Senate. Yeah. So really, Biden being president is no different than Obama's second term. It's like, and I think some clever heads got together, and maybe some of the things you're alluding to, like this decade of change, you're probably exactly spot on. I just think they say, look, for those who are not going to throw their life away and get life in prison or get locked up, they can look at it as, look, Biden is neutralized. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a figurehead for maybe somebody like me or people who just say, look, man, I'm not obsessed with politics, but on the surface, I just want someone to be dignified and not act like a 5-year-old or troll to the point that I just can't go into a movie theater and yell fire. Like right now, we don't need that right now. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
We really don't need anybody with any more divisive rhetoric, because the same people that we need to be fighting for, which is the American people, those are going to be the people who feel the brunt of it.
Right.
And what could end up happening is you have things spiral down to a point where now you can institute a police state. You can see something like Skynet, where you have robots and drones and everything policing.
And that's coming regardless, though. Like that's in our future anyway, whether it's Republican or Democrat, who Trump or Biden. Right. So that's just a part of the technological push we've been thrust into.
But think about the setup. What I'm saying is you give it to them a lot faster, because you got Kamala Harris there. You do have Biden. And what I'm saying is the last thing we need is a civil conflict, because that would give people the justification. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is you and I are talking civil, but imagine how many people right now are teetering like this is a WWE event.
Yes.
Sting lost to Ric Flair. You know what I mean? And they're ready to burn the building down. I think, sadly, what you're alluding to is true. We are on the brink of civil war. I pray for Christians that we can be, sound to get the information that we need. That's why I tune into guys like yourself to see what I can be doing financially.
Well, let me come more calls in, because I appreciate all your thoughts. Let me get a couple more calls in. I appreciate you, my man.
All right.
Yep. Yeah. And so, I appreciate that. So, I did go a little long with that call there, but feel free to call in. I missed a lot of calls there. Share a quick thought for me, if you don't mind, so I can try to get more people in. So just share your thoughts on what the current event is and where we're going with this, and keep it going so we get more people in. So here's something interesting as well. Israeli minister warns of war if Biden wins, returns to Iran deal. So, of course, everything that Trump has undone was all done in the idea of making America great again. As President Trump, which I do believe that him saying that every deal that we were, put into was always with, exporting jobs and basically stealing from the American economy altogether. And of course, everything that was undone will be redone, no doubt, if that is the case. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from? 1 second. I'm sorry. Let me apologize for that. 1 second. What's your name? Where are you calling from? LBP. Yes, I can. How you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's a celebration time.
I hear you, man.
Hey,
yeah.
Look, man. Look, I wanted Trump to win, right? But if Biden wins, it's all right. Life's gonna go on. The only thing I regret is I want to see the look at Trump's egotistical face when they tell him, "Sir, you've lost."
Yeah, so I mean, he's more than aware that has lost officially, but yet his people has already come out and saying that he won't concede, and that because of all the litigation going on, it's too early, really. It's too early to have done that. The mainstream media should not have done that, given the fact that there is some questioning of those ballots or whatnot. But we all know that the big tech, as well as social media and mainstream media, are all for where this country is heading through Biden. So they made the jump a little bit early, I think. But we'll see come Monday how the markets respond to this. You know what I'm saying?
I'm happy. I'm happy for silver.
Yeah.
Secretly, I wanted Biden to win, even though Trump. I wanted Trump to win, but secretly, I was rooting for Biden to help out my silver stash.
Yeah.
But everybody don't get all worked up over this. It don't matter anyways. They got to come to your local neighborhood in order to affect you.
Yeah.
All this stuff, they're gonna take away guns. They're gonna do this. They're not gonna do nothing. All of this is gonna be a different person taking the money from us.
Yeah. Good point, man. Good point. So yeah, here the chaos officially begins because it's not over with yet. And as a result of this, I think if Trump has his way, it's going to go to Supreme Court like he anticipated, and then imagine it coming down. Imagine if however the verdict is going to be given out. And so will the mainstream media decide to cover it, or will they ignore it, or will they change the narrative and say, Supreme Court lied? They're going to make the Supreme Court look like it's all evil. It's for Trump. Let's abolish it. And that right there could be the trigger point that really sets things off, because a lot of people right now celebrating. So, anything that comes from Supreme Court, most people don't realize, the value of having that entity as it is now, as opposed to packing the court as they're probably going to look to do down the line. And yeah, man. But hey, I appreciate you calling, my friend.
All right, can I give you a quick quiz?
Yeah, go ahead. You said go ahead.
Hey, what if Trump abolishes the Fed right on the way out the door? All right, man. Thanks for taking my call.
Good point. Yep. Yeah. So in the next, what is it? We got until January 20th to really see how this plays out, because in the meantime, the economy itself, the markets are typically going to respond to this. Unfortunately, it might go up. Like I see Mr. Manico 64 out in the audience. How you doing, my friend? As a result of all this, I think it's going to go up. But we got Mr. Mario here. Appreciate the love offering, my friend. Says Lionel Nation said President Trump could do more damage and become more popular as a civilian. I kind of agree with Lionel. Manico, that is more than likely what's going to happen. And so as a result, I saw an article yesterday mentioning how all the 3 or 4 major news, main news stations, I think it was last night or night before, when Trump came out with a speech saying that all the ballot fraud and stuff like that, how they turned the channel on them, like they turned them off. Like, I don't know, I'm not too savvy on history from that standpoint, but has the mainstream news ever cut off a president live during a press conference? So that right there lets me know that, as you mentioned yesterday about Trump starting his own news entity, he will probably do that. Now, if it flies, who knows? But, I think, and would it be great is if he decides to open up the closet on Washington, D.C. and just expose all the corruption, because no doubt he has a little bit of dirt in his closet as well. Because once again, the Epstein situation with the Maxine young lady, we ain't heard nothing about that at all. But yet she's supposed to be still locked up from what we're told. But it'd be good for him to air out some laundry, like literally open up Joe's closet, open up Hillary's closet, open up Obama's, and even Jeb Bush today congratulated Joe Biden. So when you got a so-called Republican that ran against everybody a couple years ago who dropped out, congratulating a political lifer, lets me know also it's a big cesspool of filth and just evil in that damn city and throughout this country. But anyway, man, give me some calls. Let's talk a little bit, man. I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on this. What am I missing? What am I not covering? Feel free to let me know. And Concept Quad, I saw a question about the article. I put it up and I meant to read it to do a video on it, but then I got sidetracked and I did not fully get through it. And so Esther Jim says, if fraud is proved, what do you plan to do? So as of right now, I would imagine, based upon all the things I've seen through the social media, and of course the day after all that, every social media source that people posted to with those videos or clips of people throwing ballots out and filling out ballots, every mainstream media source came with a fact check, so-called story to argue all those videos, of course. And so the fraud, in my opinion, I personally believe there has been fraud because we were told about it months and months ago from Trump, as well as I anticipated some type of way of getting him out, because popular vote overall, based upon the momentum of majority of people out there, they wanted Trump again, as opposed to what Biden offered and ran upon. But that's about 2 cents, but let's talk. Hello, Carlos. Shane, we calling from?
Hey, Mike. Vince Grant. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, V. How you doing, my man?
Doing well.
What are your thoughts? Go ahead.
I don't know for sure if I believe this, but, the narrative of some of the people who are right thinkers and who kind of think outside of the box is definitely going to be this. They use a watermark or a certain kind of technology to track the voting, and they tracked the Democratic Party, and this is just going to be another feather in their cap to go after the deep state.
Yeah.
So That's what I think is going to come out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do think this is going to give way to, to Trump for 4 years. Who knows, an entirely new system. And, by him doing that, by this all going down, it's going to abolish the Fed. Hopefully, hopeful thinking. I'm not saying this is all true.
Yeah.
This can be true, but this is what we want. Out of hopeful thinking. Doesn't mean it's all going to be true. I'm just saying this is the narrative.
Yeah.
And by doing that, they're going to create a more sound currency, and they're going to save the United States, Constitution. I don't see our country going down to globalism easy. And I think Trump was definitely brought in there like a wrecking ball, and like a bull in a china shop to stop that from happening or slow it down. So that's really what I wanted to share.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Hey man, appreciate you, and I hope you're right. So I would hope for that. So we will see though. It's going to be a hell of a story as it unfolds, man. But appreciate you.
Yep.
All right, be good. Yep. Yeah, man. So those are all good points there of what we. That's the thing. Like, it's just here's the thing. We're all, if you're an American citizen, you're a part of this introduction. As I mentioned before, for those just tuned in late, I mentioned this decade will be a 10-chapter book, give or take, a 9-chapter book, and 2020 just been an introduction of the book. And of course, it's been chaotic as hell. They've used the covert cover-up to usher all this in, and then we have political chaos along the way. And so this presidential election, of course, is a defining. It will be a defining moment, and probably the end of everything we've known prior to now. So no matter who wins, Trump or whatever, if Trump does get in again, he's going to dismantle everything, because hell, the left going to make sure they won't abide by anything he says. So it's going to be chaos. Yeah, and the legislative side of things all the way. So nothing to be passed. It's going to be a freak show. Anyway, hello, Carlos. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's Adam here from Toronto, Canada. We're watching your elections. I have my popcorn and I'm sitting back and enjoying it. So
yeah, man. So give me your thoughts from an outside looking in.
Okay. No, sorry, brother. Like I was gonna say, here's the point, right? We listened for Trump, you guys actually listened to Trump for 4 years saying, I'm going to put Hillary in jail, I'm going to do this, there's pedos, there's this, there's this. You're at a certain point, where you have to show your hand, or, you either go on the pot, or, do your business, or get off the pot. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
He's at a point where, enough with the rhetoric, enough with, oh my God, the photo fraud, oh my God, Clinton, oh my God, this, oh my God, that, oh my God, and everything is, nothing's backed up by it. Now he has to show his cards. Like it's the end game. Like either you're gonna shut up or put up. You know what I'm saying? It's one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point, man. And this is the time. So here's the good thing. If Trump is real, if he's the real deal as far as draining the swamp, the deep state, and all the stuff he talked about, even just past last presidential run, there were some of the so-called town hall meetings of, the deep state being deep and Trump, Biden being a part of it. If all that is real, and he knows it is real, then open up some of those closets, man. Expose those people for who they are. And if not, if we don't see that, then it's more dog and pony show, them just playing good guy, bad guy, dragging our economy down further, causing more division, so that this civil war, I believe, between the red and the blue, those who associate with those parties will actually probably come to fruition. Because that further makes the government even bigger, because it's going to have to officially put boots on the ground. Anyway, go ahead.
Exactly. Like I was saying, I think as a logical person. Like I'm not extremist to the left, extremist to the right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the middle of like any kind of politics. But you know what? At some point, you're going to have to back up what you're saying, right? You just can't just label people and throw stuff at people and say this is fraud. You're going to have to pony up. If you can't pony up, then shut up and move on. Get out of the office. Let the other guy do what he has to do. And, and that's about it.
Yeah. So, good point, man. Appreciate you calling, sharing your thoughts.
Right, thank you.
Yep. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from? Anybody there? Maybe not. All right. So keep it coming, man. Let's talk. I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts. So it's good to hear different perspectives, especially from those above us looking down and being a watchful observant as to what's going on here. And so it says, where are we the people? We are the people here, but we are the people have been brainwashed and conditioned to think that, this whole presidential process is for us. Like, this is not about us. This is about those that call themselves orchestrating this transition, how they want to play this thing out. And of course, division is the number one number one way to do it. And so this is what that's all about. So we the people are still waiting on, the Trump to concede or to contest or Biden to, so yeah, it's oh man. Anyway, hello, Carl. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Alan from North Carolina.
Alan from North Carolina. How you doing, my man? What are your thoughts on this current event?
I don't really have a thought. Well, my thoughts are basically that I don't really know what's going on behind the curtain, so I don't really trust either one, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But but my question is, can you just explain more about the Supreme Court, about how all that works? You can just answer this off air. I just want to be quick. So just answer, how could all this be overturned because of the power of the Supreme Court?
Yeah, I can answer. I can answer right now. I personally, I've never witnessed anything like this whatsoever. From a legal side of things, I'm not well versed enough to even touch on that, other than knowing that it starts in the local Supreme Court stateside, and then if they somehow, I'm curious to find out from those that are tuning in, but it eventually makes its way to the Supreme Court if it doesn't work out well, or the Supreme Court passes it up to the Supreme Court of the land. So I don't know how this is going to work out. So I'm not well versed at all. So I'm curious my dang self. So I appreciate that thought, and so hopefully somebody in the audience can answer that question for us, or call in if we got any legal people out there. Give us a call and answer that question. So I appreciate the question. I'm not sure myself.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for the question. Yeah, man, great question, and that's one of the things that's above anything that I'm familiar with on the legal side of things. I am curious to see how it goes down myself. So if we have any lawyers out there that know how this process will play out, potentially, feel free to call in and let us know. And so Kamala Harris. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. So everybody has their perceptions. I remember, during the whole presidential, debate and during the campaign trail, a lot of people from California called in, mentioned about how she has a bad reputation out in California. Everybody in California know who she really is. And of course, me, not other than just knowing that she's been in this political charade game for quite some time now, not knowing the dirt down on her like that. But I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on it, because of course, to me, from what I've gathered and what I've seen from her, she's a radicalist. She's an extremist. She's far left as far left can go. And of course, everyone is kind of anticipating at some point within the next couple of months, maybe Joe might do a year and then turn it down to Kamala, and then think about the country then at that point. That's frightening, even more so. Well, let's talk. Hello, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Dennis, calling from Wisconsin.
Dennis from Wisconsin. What are your thoughts, my man?
Well, I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Are you proud to be an American?
I am.
I'll answer for myself, and I will say no. I believe the United States is a broke, totalitarian country.
Okay, I agree.
What do you think?
I agree with everything you just said. I am not proud of what has unfolded and what has transpired in my adulthood years. But if I think about where I am today and when the nation I've grown up in prior to all this stuff now, and all the places I've traveled around the world, there's no place like America overall. But now, where we're at now in this transition period makes me ashamed. But once again, at this current moment, we still have more freedoms and opportunity than any other country on the planet, I believe. But it's changing right now.
And it's changing for the worse.
Correct. And it's a country that that for my children, that it makes me very sad, the possibilities that they will not have growing up, possibly if as all this unfolds in this next decade I'm talking about. They will have no idea of the type of freedom and fun and all the things that we enjoyed as young men and women and whatnot. So yeah, the United States of America, I can probably say this right now, as a result of everything that's going on, the United States of America is no longer exists. We are the divided states of America, and with that comes whatever form of governmental structure they're going to deal out to us, because they're going to shake up the political system altogether, Trump or Biden, no matter what.
Do you think that the United States is a warmongering country?
No doubt, hands down. It's been a part of the military-industrial complex. Like, that's been a way that we've been able to supposedly keep our reserve status, as well as impose our will on other nations to bow down to our nation until this current upcoming decade. I think literally the U.S. is being handed over to China to rule the next century.
would you like to see the United States lose the world's reserve currency status so they cannot have unlimited spending on fake wars and conflicts?
I personally, being an American, would not want to see that, but I know just from reality, it can't go on forever. So there has to be a transition, like all prior reserve currencies were transferred prior to us. So we've been blessed to have enjoyed the reserve currency and having the opportunity of getting cheap goods and services, at the world's expense, but it can't last forever. So if I could keep it, sure, why not? But I know transition is occurring.
Well, I would say I hope that they do lose it because it would be the best for the world. Because then the United States wouldn't be able to always be in these conflicts. In 1776, the United States has been in a war or conflict.
Yeah.
93% of the time, and it hasn't declared a war since 1942.
Yeah, good stuff, man. So
So I'm not proud of this, and I wanted to see the country of Mexico settle trade in silver, which goes back to the 1944 Bretton Woods meeting where they retained the right to keep silver as money, and they plan on exercising it. I called your program about 4 months ago from Mexico, and that was when I was hoping that they would monetize the silver, so that way the trade would be settled in something that has intrinsic value. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, this has not happened, but I hope that it does because it would force the world perhaps to go off fiat currencies.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing the same thing myself. I know Hugo Salinas Price, the Mexican billionaire, has been, trying to do it forever.
Salinas Price.
Huh?
I call him Hero Salinas Price.
So I know that he's been basically dedicating his entire life and fortune to try to make that happen. But once again, heading to a central bank digital currency environment, I don't think the world will let Mexico, take them in a different direction than they want us to go. So I think it's wishful thinking, but as individuals, we know what true money is, and we know how to preserve our purchasing power as we head into this decade of extreme inflation and beyond that. So, but hey, that's where we're at, man.
Well, one last question.
Yeah.
And thank you for the time. Do you think that President Trumpster is a fraud? And I ask this because this is a guy that was going to balance the budget. I think it was 16 trillion at the time, and now it's around 28 trillion, and that doesn't include the 22 trillion missing from your state professor, Dr. Mark Skidmore, that he found. Anyway, I mean, it just seems like Trump's just an actor, an entertainer, going along with perhaps I call the United States the United States of Israel because I think that they are controlled by Israel and Saudi Arabia.
I don't doubt it.
I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I don't deny, or I can't disagree with anything you said, because all those points are basically things that we've all observed and realized that I got the debt clock up here right now, and based upon how the system is designed to operate, in order to continue to enjoy the privileges we have to continue to rack up all types of debt. Ain't no balancing. You can't balance the deficits when you're in a zero or negative rate environment. And so it's one of the things where everything has to go on as usual, regardless of who's in office. So I never bought into 100% that Trump was going to drain the swamp, because the swamp is bigger than him. So, the swamp is just, so I personally believe that the United States of America has been hijacked and stolen and sold, through whoever was the highest bidder. And it's been sold now, I believe, to China moving forward. So, so I do agree with you, my friend. I can't deny that.
Thank you for your time. I love your program.
Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for calling in. Yeah, man, the debt clock here. And so one thing we can be confident in is that right now, according to the figures we're given, there's $27.2 trillion in the national debt. And probably before the end of this year, maybe, if they can come together on another, they won't have another stimulus package. Because right now, Trump is not going to be concerned with providing stimulus when he's trying to keep his presidency and to get that second term. So Trump will not sign off on anything come stimulus time. But sometime next year, there's going to be 2 or 3 different types of stimulus probably. And so we're going to see 30 trillion. So I've always thought, and I did a video 3 or 4 years ago about, I was anticipating by the time Trump left office, whether it had been 1 term for sure, or not 2 terms, we was going to be well beyond $30 trillion in national debt and all the other missing funds and all that other stuff. So, right now we're at 27, so we still got some ways to go. So bring on that stimulus and crank that thing up to 30, so I can be right. And also, what would that do for the person out there that's awake and aware and have, financially, in a sense, been in preparation for this transition through holding things that are counter to dying fiat currencies, such as gold, silver, and of course we got some cryptos out there. And so once again, by the time we hit 30 trillion or beyond, I can see, as some people say, a lot of commentators say, 2,500 gold by the end of this year, which will probably put us at maybe $50 silver-ish, give or take. And based upon the way the digital currency scene is moving, we could probably have 20,000, again, Bitcoin for those that are interested in that. And so, yeah. So, but here's the thing, people. I've mentioned this before. Is it possible to be distracted by and consumed by the asset appreciation in nominal terms to where we forget about the world that we're going to be living in amongst all this? So imagine, as I mentioned before, if we go to second world, third world status as we lose the reserve statuses the next 10, 20, 15 years, whatever, and we're living in a world where the currency is not doing well and your ability to go out and get your usual goods and services are bare minimum, what type of world will that actually be? Like, it will not be an enjoyable environment. Like, you won't be able to walk down your street, more than likely, depending on where you at, with a sense of like excitement that the nation you're in is struggling. Like, so if you think you're doing good financially, you were able to preserve your purchasing power and all that good stuff like that, and you appear to be well off from your own standards, but yet the world around you is in complete shambles, and the majority who's not awake and aware is relying upon government handouts through the UBI, a UBA program, the Universal Basic Income Program, is coming probably spring, summer next year, probably. And so if the world is living on less than, like majority of the world right now lives upon, what is it, $2 a week or $5 a week or whatever it is, in worst case scenarios, imagine if we are downgraded in our standard of living because of the lack of affordability for your average services. What type of world would that still be in? Like, so to say $1,000 silver, $30,000 gold, $100,000 Bitcoin, but yet the world around you is in shambles to where you can't openly enjoy your preparation. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, because also think about this, people. Another thing people haven't really taken into consideration is that under a Joe Biden or Trump administration, again, this next 4 years, this presidential election is the last presidential election under the current dollar standard. CBDCs will be rushed in. There's going to be a rush for an equal and even playing field globally, and a shift away from reserve status from the U.S. into some type of centralized basket of whatever. And therefore, we won't be able to offer credit from the banking sector, because I believe the commercial banks, once they completely go under, the too big to fail banks will be nationalized and put into one conglomerate or something like that. Because if you look at history, since the Great Depression, we had 50,000 or so banks, and now we've been reduced down to possibly 7 extremely large banks. That's a problem. And so imagine if everything is funneled through even a smaller window of opportunity for the average person, to where credit is not readily available. Only reason credit is available now is because we're able to basically retain a reserve purchasing power of our currency, as well as all our debt, apart from the last couple of years, has been in high demand as reserve assets. So we've been able to borrow and to do all those activities based upon the fact that we're not going to be able to pay. We're not going to be able to pay this back anyway. But a lot of nations, need our currency for international trade. But what happens when the world no longer requires dollars for payments or whatnot, and we're not able to actually acquire the things we want? Therefore, credit won't be readily available to us anymore. Then what will we be able to afford? I mean, the cost of living will go down drastically. Housing prices will go down drastically. You won't be able to get a new car every year. You won't be able to lease as easy as you do. So in that type of world, I don't see that being comfortable. And so once again, having been prepared by getting your weight up and doing all those things are practical things you can do to preserve. But then think about the world you're living in. I don't think it's going to be as enjoyable as a lot of people might think, for the majority anyway. So, but anyway, enough of me ranting, man. Give me a call. Let's talk. Debt and regret says, with the Democrats in, gold and silver may skyrocket, but so many people will be starving if hyperinflation becomes a case. Yeah, no doubt. And so the majority will not be able to withstand the increase in cost and just, overall lifestyle luxuries that we've had before. And it's going to require us to actually go back to the days of having to grind, work harder, of course, earning less, but get back to actually saving, and to actually capitalism is going to be destroyed as we know it. So you won't really be able to, it's only those who are skilled and actually know how to trade and do things in particular markets will be able to actually take advantage of certain areas in the financial realm. But the average person who didn't learn any form of financial literacy or monetary literacy throughout their adulthood years won't be able to really take advantage of much. And then think about all the shakeup of the schooling system. Colleges will not be as they are now. Everybody will not be incentivized to go get a college degree, especially if your college degree don't offer you nothing sustainable to support yourself. So yeah, the world's in a complete shakeup. But I'm ranting too much. Let's talk. Let me get a couple more people on here. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. This is Sean from Albany, New York.
Sean from Albany, New York. My man, what's in your mind tonight? Give me your thoughts, or this afternoon rather.
I think this is all scripted, man. If you look at the Economist cover, the one that looks like the eyeglass chart, where it's got 12 lines. Yeah. So every line represents a month. This month, the 11th line says tyrant, diversity, and war on that line. So what's going to happen is Trump is going to go and probably say something along the 14th Amendment, voter fraud, and remove electoral college votes from states that are committing fraud with voting. There's got to be at least 100 videos on Twitter showing people just filling out ballots nonstop. Yeah. So when that happens and they remove those votes, it's going to spark off basically all the rioting from the summer, but way worse than what it was before, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I do agree.
I think that's happening this week for sure, in my opinion. Yeah. I'm the guy who called up about that Back to the Future stuff a while ago. Yeah. And in the Back to the Future, it's got 9/11 in it, and it also has 11/9. So I think he does this stuff on Monday, 11/9. So a lot of these there's a lot of numerology stuff with what he says, like GDP is 33.1 growth. Yeah. That if you look at gematria and type in 33.1, that says November. That's November 9th.
November 9th. Okay. So what you're saying is we should anticipate and expect something this upcoming Monday.
This Monday, and then I think this Friday the 13th. Is going to be something huge too, because on Friday the 13th is when Trump declared it a pandemic. Back in March, and this is the next Friday the 13th. So I'm pretty sure that they believe in this date. It's okay. There's a channel called The Current Conspiracy, AAC, on YouTube. It's got all the movie stuff, and it's pretty amazing how many movies all this stuff is in. Yeah. Describing this time period right now, this week, basically.
All right. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you calling and sharing your thoughts.
Okay.
All right, be good. Yep. Yeah, man, good stuff. Good stuff. So I was actually looking for that Economist cover, and I didn't actually find it, but then I see some stuff here, but I don't really know. I don't know if how legit it is. But anyway, so let's keep talking. Give me a call. Let's talk. I saw a super chat there. I apologize for missing that. We got Mr. Mark Asher. I appreciate that love offering to the channel, my friend. Thank you. And so, okay, man, there's so many facets to this whole situation, man. We got, the tax situation. So think about this: for a government that runs unlimited amount of deficits, at some point under MMT, because Biden is a pure MMT, spend as much as you can, but then also on the other end, he's going to raise taxes for those that make over 400,000, as well as capital gains tax is going to increase. And so, yeah, they're gonna stimulate you, but they're going to tax the hell out you, boy. Yeah, man. Anyway, I missed a call. They're gonna tax the mess out you. Hello, caller. What's your name? Hey, how you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. What's going on?
TB.
Happy afternoon.
Happy afternoon to you, my friend. Give me your thoughts on what's going down. I know you got the scoop.
Oh, they're gonna have to write the checks.
those stimulus checks.
Who won or who lost? It would. The equation would be much more better if they just had the Democrats in the House and the Senate, and the presidency, so to make it look more real.
Yeah.
But they're gonna have to write the check.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have to write the big one. That they're gonna have to bring out the UBI sometime soon.
Yeah.
Within the next year. And it's not a pretty sight because once they get going down this path, is the only reason why they didn't go down this path is that they're gonna have to keep writing the checks.
Yeah.
And then the dollar depreciates, and then your food prices are already in shrinkflation. So now you do shrinkflation, and then you do a higher price, and people are gonna start to realize that their money ain't worth anything, and they're gonna start getting rid of the dollar. This is a doom loop that we see coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're living through it. But we just gotta be on point.
Yeah.
We gotta be on point because the mysteries and the who has what and who does what is really getting to our brain instead of thinking about following the money.
Right. That's good. True. While you're speaking, I put up an article here. It says why the U.S. economy could use a $4.4 trillion rescue package from Washington. So the foundation for the amount that was needed by some economists, he's saying 4.4 trillion is needed to rescue. And so I'm thinking, like, with all the so-called good numbers we've been given and unemployment going down, all that good stuff like that, why would we still need 4.4 trillion if everything was so good?
Right. And there's a chance that they may get one in with Trump when the pandemic hits again. And then Biden come in and he say, well, he didn't do enough, so I'm gonna do a little bit more. And plus, Biden had signed on for $100 trillion deal.
Yeah.
And during his presidency with this Green New Deal that he's got and all the constituents he has to pay off, and he signed up for a whole bunch of stuff that we're gonna have to end up paying for. And I don't know if we can do that. This is not pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm looking here, it says, as a part of one of the graphs on this little article, it says recovery stalling and jobs paying more than $29 an hour. And so like the jobs that are paying above that 29 or so is not, as they're not coming back fast enough. So that's going to be a downgrade in a lot of people's lives who have built a lifestyle around making that, was it 60 something plus thousand a year. So yeah, man.
Well, they got to be careful with it, even with this minimum wage that they're trying to jack up to $15 an hour. Most people didn't make $15 an hour.
Yeah.
And you give me a check for $15 an hour and then tell me that I need to go to work for 12, then I don't think so.
And so here the question is, go to what job? Because all the restaurants, they're not going to be able to remain and keep as much labor because they're going to automate things. So I saw an article about, I think, White Castle. I don't know if you guys got White Castle out in Cali. You guys got White Castle?
I wish we did, man.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about, though. I had it in Indy.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from.
So White Castle, which is a small burger joint anyway. So they automate their kitchen. So they literally got robots in the kitchen now. So they got 2 or 3 clerks or chefs or whatever clerks, and then they got so all the cooking, all the heavy lifting, and all the real work is going to be done by machines, software, AI, all that good stuff like that. So don't forget that we're also, for those that are not aware, we're heading into that industrial revolution of technology where automation. So there's not going to be there's not going to be a lot of jobs out there, huh? Say that again.
We got 40 million that they're going to have to retrain, and that's all part of his thing too, free education. So they can retrain these people to get back out in the workforce. You ain't going to be flipping a burger with a spatula anymore. You can forget that.
Yeah. Now think about this. Also, come February, if Biden actually walks through, he's going to lock down again and make mandatory masks. And so you're going to have the Democratic states that will lock down with no problem. Then you might have the Republican states to say we're not locking down our economy, and so you're going to have states that don't comply. So therefore, what will Biden and all the other people try to do to countries that are now in disagreement? Because you're going to have those red states that are like such as Texas for sure that is like, no, we're not locking down again, and vice versa. How do you think that's going to play into the Civil War? Could that be more of an escalator in the Civil War that might come?
We'll be locked out before February because of the way the economy is rolling over. They injected all the money, and now the money is spent, and they need more injection, more morphine, and they're going to have to do it maybe even for the end of this year. They don't have to come up with a new dollar. That's plain and simple. They're going to have to come up with a new dollar, whether it's digital, whether it's more printing. You know, maybe what's her name? The woman on the railroad come through with a $20 bill. You know, they're going to have to do something about getting money into this economy. But if you print money into the economy and people spend it into the economy, that devaluates the dollar.
Yeah.
We're in a doom loop.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Hey, TB, man, it's good to hear from you, man. Appreciate you.
Talking at you. Have a good day.
Yeah, people. So here we are, Saturday, and President Biden has been chosen, and the mainstream media is pumping it. All the world leaders are congratulating him, as well as the likelihood. Of course, Biden is 48-year long politician, and he's been a part of all the wars that we've had in my lifetime for sure. And with an article like this, I'm gonna show again. Israeli minister warns of war if Biden wins, returns to Iran deal. So all the things that Trump called himself undoing, which I'd imagine a lot of people, those who realize that American people have been shafted for the last 30 years as China has taken over. Everything is made in China. So we know how the trade situation has been in favor of China. It's going to increase. No doubt Biden will definitely, give back power to China, and all the trade deals, all that stuff is going to be done away with. So the American people ultimately are losing this game. Unfortunately, we don't know it, but yet because of our emotional conditioning and the fact we've been lied to and believe, we can't tell lie from truth no more. Most people can't. So I think ultimately America is going downhill a lot faster now with very little resistance, because Biden will be basically in charge, and not for long, but he's going to definitely listen to whoever controls his strings, because he's the perfect Manchurian candidate. So anyway, people, we'll be approaching the hour point, man. I want to check in this afternoon and just get your thoughts. Got a nice raw, broad opinions from everybody. So I appreciate everybody for hanging out with me this afternoon. And so, depending on the night, depending on what unfolds tonight, might do another live stream. But here we are, people. And so we all knew what to expect. Now it's a matter of watching these events play out. And once again, Trump's not done. So he's going to put up a fight. And that fight right there will spill over to even more craziness, to where we'll see how the Supreme Court responds. So I'm definitely going to dig in and do some homework on that, because I'm curious to find out how all that will play out. And, of course, the mainstream media, world leaders, and those heavily strong people who are Biden supporters, 100% to the T, will not accept a different verdict other than a Biden presidency. And that will lead to the Civil War I was talking about, where it's going to be blue versus red, similar to how it was in the Civil War for North versus South. So those are the things I see ahead, unfortunately, but yet it's a part of their design. And it will further increase the size of government and more spending as they bring this economy into the ground. So Kamala Harris is a female version of Hillary Clinton. I don't doubt it. And the question is, I wonder, is Hillary low-key proud? Because Hillary will be back in office. She will be put back in office under a Biden administration. She's going to find a way in his cabinet somehow. So here's a tweet from Hillary, basically congratulating Biden and Harris. And so once again, you think, Hillary deep down inside is pissed that she's not the first female, whether it be vice president or president directly. She had to settle for first lady during her time. So, is she done with, or is she coming back strong? Will she try to run again in 2024? Who knows? But everything seems to be on course for heading to where we're all bound to go anyway. So America says escape to Jamaica. Yeah, Jamaica. I don't know about Jamaica, but here's the thing, man. Every country is under the same type of boot. And the boot is the pandemic, and all the consequences that will come from that. And then, of course, I got a couple articles talking about the vaccines and how, only in the U.S. are there more than 4 different types of vaccines coming our way. Why? Why does other nations only have potentially 1? And why is Russia able to spread their vaccine, the Sputnik 5, across the world, and people be willing to accept it? So testing, tracking, and tagging will be the new theme for 2021, especially if Biden gets in, because he listens to science. So lockdowns, masks, vaccinations will no longer be optional eventually. And yeah, we're going to that one world government, my friends. It's straight biblical. So thank God he's on the throne. Man, his kingdom will stand no matter what. I'm going to preach myself happy. Anyway, I'm done ranting, people. Be blessed, be safe. I'll see you guys later. If you've enjoyed this back and forth, this quick rant and the community opportunity to connect, give it a thumbs up. Share this video so people can get a different perspective, because right now, the celebration is going on, but it won't last for long. So appreciate everybody tuning in. And Manico, I appreciate that love offering again, my friend. Thank you. And that's all she wrote. So be blessed, be safe. Mario, let's connect again soon, my friend. Appreciate you. Hey there, sorry for this interruption, but I wanted to bring something to your attention. If you've been enjoying this live stream, why don't you partner with me and be a support to the channel via Patreon membership for just a minimum of $5 a month. All you have to do is scroll down beneath this video here, click the Patreon link, then consider donating as little as $5 a month towards the channel. A little bit of crumbs can go a long way, and I appreciate your support. Now, let's get back to this live stream.